Guys, gals, pals, welcome to Paint Talk episode 100. And first things first, I mean, right off the bat, you already know, we gotta thank you. Thank you so much. Like, genuinely, I need to start by saying thank you. It blows my mind that we're here at Paint Talk episode 100. And you know, for this Paint Talk, I want to make it for you guys. I feel like when it comes to these big, I mean, I do consider that, I was going to try and use a humbler word, I guess, but I do consider this to be a big milestone. 100 episodes of painting and talking here. When it comes to these things, I feel like there's definitely a temptation to do something big and like clickbaity and like, you know, could easily make this the, you know, what I learned painting for 100 days, like that kind of thing, you know, but, and I'm sure the time for that will come when I finish this series at the end of the year and all those things, but today I really do want to make it just for you guys by doing just this, just talking about Paint and Talk. This is, or as I always refer to it here, meta talk. It's something I really try to avoid doing with this series because I think it's the one thing that, like, you know, the only people that are going to be interested in hearing my thoughts on Paint and Talk as a series as I go through the motions of doing and making Paint and Talk and recording it are people that watch Paint and Talk, right? Nobody just coming in is really going to be all that interested in that. So I try to avoid it in the average episodes, doing too much meta talk about, like, this is what I think about what I'm doing right now. But since I do want to make this episode for you guys, that's exactly what I want to come here and do. I just want to give my thoughts about this series because, I don't know, I don't get to do it. I think it's an important part of this, you know? I started this series at episode 1 doing just that. Like, I set out my intentions. I spoke directly to you all. Some of you have been here since episode 1, which is crazy. Shout out to the few of you that have seriously just been here from like the very first day of this. That's insane. I'm surprised you're not tired of me yet. I'm sure you're getting there, but you know, I started out in that very, what I'd call a pure way of just like, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm interested in this series. And I kind of want to do that again of like, this is still why I'm here. This is why I'm interested in the series. What I've been happy with, what I've been unhappy with as I've gone on. You know, when you discover, there's this thing that this YouTuber, fashion YouTuber said once. I forget who it was, but I think it was Drew Joyner. Shout out to Drew Joyner, great guy. Where he was like, when you wear a piece of clothing, he wore these jeans for 100 days straight once, and he was like, when you wear a piece of clothing for 100 days, you learn everything about that pair of jeans. You learn, you know, if you sit in this slight position, it's uncomfortable. You learn every little rivet and seam and pinch and texture. You learn all of it. And I feel like doing Paint and Talk is very much the same way, where it's like, I'm only less than a third of the way through the series, but I feel like I've learned so much of like the limitations of this. The first big change that I made to this series was that I made the episode shorter, which I'm happy I did, because I think it's awesome when I do like a 20-minute episode, and I think those are some awesome ones. But I do think that the series just functions better when it's like I can let the conversations be however long the conversations end up being. That was the first change I made, and that's probably I think that's really the only like major change I've made to this series, which is really cool. I think like the biggest thing that's blown me away about this so far, and the reason why I always feel the need to thank you guys so much, is because this is the fastest I've ever had anything grow in like a real way before. I've been doing YouTube since I was 9 years old, started my first channel back then, and you know, obviously I've seen videos do well, I've seen them do really well, I've seen them do bad. Like in that time, you fail and succeed, I'd say like a fairly equal amount. But like, I've never had what this series is before, where it is a long, consistent success. I think part of that, if I'm being honest, is because I've lowered the bar to a point where like I see the success. You know, when you put a month into a video, success is very different than when you put an an hour in, like what it takes for me to make one of these, and then you just do that every day. You know, you're putting in the same amount of time over a long span of time, but the way you judge each individual piece of output is very different. Like for me, a success with an episode of Paint and Talk is just somebody saying they like it, to be honest. When I started, it was somebody watching it, but things change as you get into them. I don't know, I still do appreciate just as much when somebody watches it, but I feel like at a certain point it'd be dishonest for me to say like, oh, the only thing I care about is getting one singular view, because things change as you progress into something, you know? So for me, when I get anybody commenting going like, this is cool, that's what I really like. That's what really is like, oh man, this is great. This is almost like proof that I'm doing something worthwhile, because I set out, and if you go back and watch Paint and Talk episode 1, this is, I think, the first thing I say is like, I wanted to make this the least alienated I've ever been on the internet. Posting content on the internet is the most alienating thing ever, especially as you get into it. It just feels like the audience is a whole different entity from you. And it's like, it really is just a terrible feeling, and it's awful because I think, I can only really speak for myself, but I think this is a trend I see with a lot of content creators. Like, they start it with the intention of connecting with people, with garnering an audience of like people who have similar interests or want to discuss similar things, kind of like what I'm doing here. And it's sad because I've seen so many people get into it and they're just like, this is not, you know, what I thought it'd be, I guess is the simplest way to put it. And I think it's even sadder because, like, I think the hardest thing, the easiest thing on YouTube to do is to upload and just like be fine, like upload a video, right, and get some views. The second hardest thing to do is to get a successful video, right, to do numbers, I guess, as people would refer to it. In my experience at least, doing this my whole life, the hardest thing to do is to post videos, have them be what you consider a success, which is different for everybody. Like I said, I have considered basically every episode of Paint and Talk a success because people are watching and resonating with it. And genuinely connect with people. I think that's probably the hardest thing to do on the internet. I think part of it is just because the internet is really not a great place to do that. Like, I don't think that these platforms are actually good places to connect with people as they're pitched to us. I think, you know, if I were to we've talked a lot on this series about like social media and, you know, kind of having more removed philosophizing discussions about what we think about social media and how it's affected things. But if I were to give my take on it from like the perspective of like, I've been doing this for, you know, since I was a kid, what do I think about these platforms coming here now? I think they're just not made for what they say they're made for. We're pitched social media as a device to connect us all and capture attention. I think they are only made to steal attention. I don't think capture attention. I think steal attention and extract profit through advertising. Like, I genuinely do not see any other use in social media because there are so many great ways to make a social media that does actually connect us all. You know, so many people have attempted platforms that are actually deeply connecting, but they're not as profitable, and they never will be. And the goal always ends up the same at the end of the day, no matter the intention at the start, is to just steal as much attention as you possibly can and profit off that attention, right? Name of the game for multiple reasons, some of which is not even the people making these platforms' fault, you know? But this is all a very long and drawn out way of saying, with Paint and Talk, I feel I have genuinely cultivated some sort of a connection to the audience. And like when you guys, you know, I think I've had people DM me being like, in the past, before Paint Talk, I've gotten a lot of DMs of like, oh, your videos are cool or whatever like that. Paint Talk is the first time I've gotten people DMing me being like, oh, I've started painting every day because of this, or I've started, you know, drawing again, and I haven't drawn since I was a kid. You know, and those people, those DMs, like, if I thought it was cool getting a DM about saying one of the videos is great, that feels insane. Of like, wow, like somebody is genuinely doing something because of the series. I feel like that is like the connection I want. That's the connection I look for. And I feel like it's something that is almost impossible to get on the internet. Like, I could think of creators I watch on one hand that genuinely, I feel they have been able to cultivate that in their own community, where they are like not completely just putting out a product and removing themselves from the audience. And this is not me tooting my own horn. This is me saying thank you to you guys, of like, you're the reason for that, you know? I think Paint&Talk is a series that like has a format that's fairly adjusted for that. Like, I think it's easier to do this than it would be if I was uploading these, let's say, once a month. But it's all you guys that have made it possible for this to not be an alienating experience, and make me be like, oh man, I got to keep going. Like, this is something people enjoy. I will say though, there have been like some annoying things about it as a series too. I will actually, before I even go into that, it's probably the most positive reception I've had to anything though too, which is really interesting. I was really scared of doing Paint&Talk because, like, there's a difference between making content about something and making content where you are the content. Like, as much as I always have a topic when I come here, like, this is just me and my personality, you know? I'm not following a script. I don't have a persona. I'm not even using a source or anything. Half the time you guys hear me make some shit up and go like, oh, like, shout out to all you, catch ya. You know, like, that's kind of what this series is in a lot of ways. And when I started, I was really scared because of that, because there's a huge difference between having somebody comment on a video about, I don't know, throw anything out there, you know, analyzing Plato's dialogues or something like along those lines, and having somebody comment something mean on a video where it's just you being yourself. Because one of those things is, in one way or another, an attack on Plato and his dialogues, and then maybe your thoughts on Plato and his dialogues. When somebody comes in and says something rude on a video like these, it is towards just me. Like, there's no shield there. I can't say, oh, it was just the paint that day. Like, there's nothing there except they don't like me and what I'm doing here. And I was really scared when I started this series because of that. Because I was like, oh my god, like, will I be able to do that? I've always been fine with hate comments and stuff before, but like, will I be able to handle somebody who genuinely doesn't like me? And what I've found so far is, one, it's not that different, and two, though, I've gotten such a more positive reception to this, and I think the lesson that I want to learn from that, I can't say this is the right answer, but the answer I'm choosing to take because I think it's the best one, is that, like, when you put yourself out there in an honest way, you're always gonna have people that don't like it, obviously, that's just a given, but people will, in general, respect that so much more than you trying to put up that shield, you know? And that's something else I've learned. With that, though, there is one really annoying misinterpretation that has come with Paint&Talk, and I think it's that people do overvalue the paintings a little bit. I don't know, even saying that out loud, I feel like a huge asshole. Because it's like, yeah, I'm painting and talking, it's half the series' name. But to me, and I'd love to hear how you guys view this as people, you know, that have watched these and like actually stuck around and do enjoy the series. Like, I've always viewed the art, the product of this as like this whole thing, right? The video is more the art. It's, I'm a big believer that, this is so nerdy of me, but I'm a big believer that conversations are art. Like, I do think that conversationalism, is that what it's called, is like a form of art. Because you are using, in the same way that like structuring a dialogue in a Shakespeare play is clearly art, I do think a conversation with a friend can be the same thing. You know, have you guys ever had a conversation where it's like, you don't even remember every word exchanged, but the atmosphere, the setting, the everything is almost like a scene from a movie. That's kind of what I try and do here. Not quite in the dramatic terms like that, because that'd be really cringy really fast, but more so in terms of like, I want it to just feel like you're painting with a friend, hanging out and seeing, and this is kind of what comes of it, you know? Like, I view it not as performance art, I don't know if that's the word, but just I view everything going on here as the final product, as what I'm presenting to you all. And I think some people think that, like, the painting is the art, and the talking is just to pitch it on YouTube. That's not how I see this at all. I think they're 100% equal, because, again, taking this from the example of, like, what if you went to a paint studio with a friend, you're going not to see your final paintings, you're going to hang out with your friend. And that's kind of what I wanted to do here more so. I have, on the other hand, gotten way better at painting. Like, I will say that to you all. Since it's just us here, the people that have been hanging around, I do feel that I've gotten much better at painting. Not good, but like, you know, painting has always been like the biggest blind spot for me artistically. I always grew up drawing and sculpting, but paints, I think just because my parents were like, these are too messy, please just go to your room and draw instead, they've always been a huge blind spot for me, just because I never got to use them as much as a kid or anything like that. They were expensive, they were messy, all these things. So since paint was such a big blind spot for me, I was always like, oh, I feel like I could do okay at that. Like, I feel like I could blend some paints or something, but I've never tried, and I just never had an excuse to put the time in. This is me putting the time in, and I will say I feel I've gotten much better at this. At least learned some techniques along the way. You know, I'm not going to say I'm at the level where I can make a piece, in my opinion. But I think that's like been a big misunderstanding. The other thing, which I don't care about, this is a thing about me, and this is why, like, I would never address this. It's usually a really bad idea to talk about any sort of comments on videos, because I think that's just like a one-way street to like being, like, I just don't think that's a cool thing to do. Unless they're positive comments, of course. The one type of comment, though, I don't really care about the hate comments too much. I don't like the smarmy comments. Like, I hate when people will be like, I've gotten this one a couple times. If you guys are watching this that have commented this, I'm sorry. But this does annoy me quite a bit, where it's like, you don't understand. Painting is a task that requires complete silence. Like, what you're doing is antithetical to art. And it's like, maybe for you, like, sure, would I probably be better at painting if I painted an hour a day without talking to a camera? Like, probably, sure, maybe a little bit. I can't really say. I'm not going to use it as an excuse for why I'm not good at painting. Like, I'm trash at painting just because I'm not good at this, not because I am talking to a camera. But with that being said, like, I'd still be watching YouTube or listening to music. Like, this idea that, like, art is this super soulful activity that requires just like silence and spirituality and all these things. Listen, it's great if you believe that, and that's awesome if that works for you. But I don't know, I feel like one of the things I really aim to do in everything is just like have fun. Like, it's like, why can't you just, is there not a chill way to do this, you know? So that's not, sorry, I'll never do that again. I'll never talk about a comment again on video. I feel terrible now, because in case those people are watching. But maybe be less annoying in YouTube comment sections, I don't know. But yeah, overall, if we're doing a status update of how I feel about Paint&Talk, I really do feel great. I still cannot comprehend the idea that I'm going to be here for another 265 days. That still blows my mind. And like, this is something I've talked about a fair bit in Paint&Talk, is this idea of like, do things that break your conception of numbers. Like, I think journaling's great, because if you journal every day, someday you're gonna be, like today I was at journal 757, I think. And like, that's insane. Like, I write that and I'm like, wow, how have I been doing this for 757 days? And I'm a big believer that like things like that are great, because they show you just like when you consistently do something, how far you can take anything. And this is like the ultimate version of that for me right now. Like, I cannot believe that I've done this 100 days straight and I'm still here, like, and I can't believe that it's gonna go for another 265 days. Like, all these things blow my mind. And it's honestly just insane. Like, it's insane that this is happening. I love doing this. This is the only time that I've never... Usually when I work this much on something, I hate it by the time I'm at this point. I get super burnt out because it's just like, I force myself to do so much of it. This is the combination of everything I like. Just yapping, making a bad painting, and that's it. Like, that's, to me, that's like the ultimate, this is what I want to be doing, and that's why I've enjoyed this so much. And I'm genuinely so, humbled isn't the word. Humble doesn't make sense. Have you guys ever thought about this? I think about this all the time. Can somebody explain to me why, like, actors go on stage and they're like, I'm humbled by this award? It's like, no, you're less humble because you got the award. You're not at all humbled by the award. You're far less humble because of this award. It genuinely touches my heart, though, that you guys have all been like, this is cool. This is something that I like, because, I don't know, I think this series is the first time where I was like, you know, I'm just like, I'm going to do something I really like. I'm going to mess around and make a series that, like, I would want to watch, and that is purely for me. Like, I thought of doing it like this because every day at night I draw a little bit, and I have certain creators that over the years I've watched while I draw every night, but none of them have ever uploaded daily, and I was always like, man, imagine if one of these guys just kept uploading, I could watch every single night. And I was like, why don't I do that for somebody else? You know, I was like, if I'm sitting here thinking this, somebody else has to be. And that's where Paint&Talk came from in its current form. I got the idea from a friend originally, but in its current form, that's where the idea came from, to do it like this. And, you know, because of that, I think this has been easily the best thing I've ever gotten to on YouTube. And it's something too where, like, a lot of YouTube is negotiating with the algorithm, I feel like. Like, so much of it is like, okay, I have this project, I'm gonna put a month into it, and it's gonna feel terrible when it gets 0 views, so I'm going to make a bunch of compromises within this project to ensure that it does better. That's something that is like the quintessential YouTube experience of, like, basically, like, from the second, at every turn when you're doing YouTube, and I know there are a lot of artists watching, so, like, think of it almost like this. If you're drawing or painting, from every second that you start that drawing, you will have somebody walking into the room telling you should do that a different way, because the drawing will be better in the end. That's what YouTube feels like, because I'm not talking about the commenters, I'm talking about the algorithm. Like, you should, like, no, kill that second of silence you have in there, because that could kill retention. Like, all these things are happening while you're making the video, and it feels terrible. And Paint&Talk has been so good for me, I think, because I don't have to do that, because it's like, this is every day, and it is what it is. Like, it's not this, I'm never having an effort to have an episode of Paint&Talk. Never once have I gone, I hope this does numbers, because that's not what this is. Hopefully they, over time, you know, people come and watch them, because that's awesome, that's what I do it for. But, you know, it's not this idea of, like, something's gonna pop off, something's gonna blow up. It's almost like I've gotten to exit that negotiation, except for shorts. Shorts are the only thing, and I put no effort. You guys can tell, right? I put no effort into those. They're basically just billboards to come watch these. These are the actual thing. If you guys, this is something I should actually emphasize. If you guys have been watching the shorts every day, stop. Don't, they're not like, those are literally just meant to be sent out so people come here and watch these videos. I chop them up with an AI bot in 10 minutes, and I just send them out because it helps get people to watch these, which is the thing I actually care about. Yeah, no, don't watch those. They're literally just, they're billboards. They're not, but I think it's cool too, because it's almost like I get to just like chop this up and send it out. So I don't have to actually compromise this, and I can compromise 60-second things on Instagram Reels that wouldn't actually garner any sort of connection anyways. You don't get a connection to somebody through short form content, I don't think. I never have. So that's why I'm just trying to drive people here. So that was a little insider info on the shorts. This is the 4th sphere. I do a sphere every 25 Paint&Talk, so we'll check in to see my progress. And this is sphere number 4. Maybe it's just because I'm feeling nostalgic that we're on Paint&Talk episode 100. I'm going to call it the best sphere yet. Yeah. Thank you guys. Genuinely. I feel like I spent this whole Paint&Talk talking about myself, And I know some of you might enjoy that because, maybe you are watching and are wondering, like, what are his thoughts on these terrible shorts that he puts out, or what does he think about people saying this thing or whatever. So hopefully you did enjoy this, but I really do just want to say, like, thank you so much for watching all of these. I do this alone in my room every day, and the fact that it connects to anybody through whatever magic the algorithm does to get it to you guys, and the fact that you're willing to just listen to me ramble about things that I know most of my friends wouldn't even after a while is meaningful, like genuinely. So thank you all. Go check this painting out over on the Instagram. And until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. This has been Paint Talk, episode 100. I'm here every morning, painting and talking with you all. Thank you.